Welcome to the Philly Soccer Page post-game show. I'm Ryan Rose here with Nick Fishman. A tough loss for the Union, 0-2 to Toronto at home. Big story coming into tonight, Nick, was no Alejandro Bedoya, no Harris Medunjanin after their respective red cards last week, earlier. And Jim Curtin chose to put Ilsinho at the 10, Dochkal at the 8, and Craval at the 6. What do you make of those choices?
I was surprised to see him go that offensive. I thought he could make that move because you can go with Fontana, you can go with Derek Jones, but you're playing at home and you don't necessarily have that firepower without Harris Medunjanin setting chances up from deep. You don't have those chances with Bedoya pushing up field and kind of doing that whole box-to-box style that he plays. So it made sense because Curtin doesn't trust Derek Jones, and I don't know if he trusts Anthony Fontana to go out and beat Toronto FC. So his best choice, and I think it was the right decision. They created chances. They just weren't clinical in that final third, which we can say after every Union loss it feels this season. But Dochkal kind of took that Medunjanin role of dropping back, but he also had to, he was kind of between two minds a lot of times. He had to kind of direct from the back and orchestrate, but he also had to be the one to rush upfield and try and get into the box and press and probe that final third. Craval is, I think you mentioned he's an MLS 2.0 player, meaning he has one skill and he does it well, and that's what Jim Curtin asked him to do tonight, was to shut down Victor Vasquez, Osorio, and Sebastian Giovinco. Well, not those players in particular, but to help clog up and congest that middle of the field. Ilsinho put in a 65-minute shift and probably should have been taken off after 60. Instead, it was kind of 75. I think when he started to fatigue, you felt the game fall away from the Union. They didn't have that firepower, and with him dropping off in his stamina, it was about a substitution that was made about 10 minutes too late.
Yeah, I agree with almost everything you said except one. It was the right decision. I don't think that it was the right decision. I agree. Dochkal did a good job at the 8, better than I thought he was going to do. He was clearly uncomfortable, but got into the right positions, built out of the back, something that they struggled with tonight. Ilsinho was, as good at the 10 as we've seen him be, for what it's worth. Was it the right decision, though? I'm going to say no. Because it was an 0-2 loss tonight. And we constantly hear this team say that they are building their identity around their youth players. They want to be known as a team that sends young players to the national team, that develops young players. And I think at some point you have to trust those young players. Now, they are already starting to build that identity, but at the end of the day, it was a loss anyway, and which obviously you don't know going into it.
But you could say that they were undone by, well, you could say they were the better team for 70 minutes tonight. They had, Toronto didn't have two shots until that second goal, 2 shots on goal, I should say. So they controlled the tempo. They were undone by 2 mistakes. One was made by one of those immigrants. Mark McKenzie was late to step up on that pass through ball from Vasquez to Osorio, and it cost Union to put him on goal. If he was a little more cautious or a little more quick in his decision to come forward, that chance is snuffed out, and maybe it's in that 70th minute when Keegan Rosenberry throws the ball away to the most dangerous player, maybe not even only on the field, but in MLS.
In MLS, right.
You can't give away chances like that. If those 2 chances don't happen, you're in this game. You're on the front foot probing Toronto's backline instead of trying to chase the game. That being said, good teams don't make those mistakes, and it's repeated over and over again with this team. And until it looks like the problems are solved, a 4-game unbeaten streak, and then you have 2 red cards against Atlanta, and right after that it resurfaces, and now you're asking yourself again, can this team be a good team? And it seems like it's always going to be a question that circles back to no, they're not.
Right. I think one thing we can agree on is the choice not to play those young players maybe says a little bit about those young players. Yeah. If we're trying to play as many as possible and we don't play those when the opportunity arises, maybe the confidence isn't there.
Derek Jones is going to dig himself out of the doghouse by running onto the field with his chain still on him and having to slow
Right.
down the game.
That was a little bit of an odd situation.
Yeah.
So, you said there were a couple mistakes that led to those goals. If there was one thing that undid the Union tonight, what would you say that was?
I'll circle back to it's early in the game, but Pico having that breakaway behind the defense, a heavy touch in the box, puts the ball too close to Alex Bono. He has, well, it's not. He still gets the shot off. He doesn't get a quality shot off. If he that's a golden opportunity, and you can't waste chances like that. What was it? Then Ilsinho had a moment. It was a half chance behind the line, but then minutes after that, Toronto scores the opener. You can't give away chances. Toronto didn't waste their chances tonight. The Union did, and that's the difference in the game.
Absolutely. I think good teams finish, and that's it. You can try to take solace in the idea that they created opportunities, which they did for most of the game, but to not finish those opportunities, it just ruins it all. So you mentioned that they went on that 4-game unbeaten streak. Then Atlanta happened. Then this happened. It's a little difficult to say where the Union are as a team right now. Where do you put them?
So, best case scenario, they can fight for that 6th playoff spot. They're not better than Columbus. They're not better than either of the 2 New York teams. They're not better than Atlanta. They're not better than Toronto. I think I'm still a believer in Toronto. You watch them play. I think
Same.
At some point they're going to vault everybody. So that leaves them battling with Orlando City, New England. Tonight's like tonight. You have to beat a team that's below you. Doesn't matter how good Toronto is. You're at home. You need to put that and that's why I want to credit to Curtin for going for the win with Ilsinho and Doshkal on the field. But at some point, you have to beat these teams that you're grouped with. Like, if you want to make the playoffs and prove something and save your job, because realistically, without Stewart here, you're going to have a new person coming in and deciding what his fate's going to be. Without a playoff appearance, it's fair to ask if Curtin
Right.
can save his job going in the next season.
That is a question that we'll be asking going forward. The whole Ernie Stewart situation definitely throws a whirlwind into everything. But I agree. They're a middle of the pack team like they usually are, and we'll just have to wait it out to see how middle they are.
Let's just hope they're fighting for something at the end of the season, and it's not determined in September or earlier than that.
Yep. All right. With Philly Soccer Page, I'm Ryan Rose.
I'm Nick Fishman.
Have a good one.